Well, students, this is your time to learn how to edit video. So the program that we're going to use is called Adobe Premiere Elements 11. You can find it on your desktop by clicking this bottom right rectangle and double clicking on this purple icon. When it opens, you should see this welcome screen, and you'll be clicking on Video Editor, and since you haven't started a project yet, New Project. Once you're into the project, you'll be clicking on Existing. So this is how it looks. I want you guys to, instead of working in quick mode, if it starts in quick mode, please switch it to expert. And you'll notice the name of your project up here. Let's rename that so that we know what file we're working with. So you're going to save as, and you're going to locate it to, in your case, you guys are going to be on your USB drive. For the time being, I'm just going to put this in the For Students in Out folder. Okay. And as you guys know, we do last name dot first name and whatever you think the project is going to be. So you'll notice that it ends as a PREL file. That's specific to Premiere Elements. And if you give somebody a PREL file instead of exporting your video at the end of your project, then they won't be able to open it unless they have Premiere Elements or Premiere. So save it. So there's a lot of things to learn here. I'm going to do it in rapid fire so you guys can get right to your work. The first one is videos require you to understand time through a means called timecode. That's these zeros here, and you can see those that same kind of time code along the timeline here. But the first zero refers to the number of hours, the second to the number of minutes, the third to the number of seconds, and the fourth to the number of frames, not milliseconds. When you're editing, feel free to hover over this time code and click and drag to get to a very specific point that you want. So this is the 4th second, 28th frame, 29th frame, and then you'll see we must be having 30 frames per second because instead of it going to 4 seconds and 30 frames, it jumps to 5 as the next frame. So that's something to watch out for. That'll differ depending on what you have as the specified number of frames per second. So let's get some stuff into this project. We'll begin adding files. And the way you add these various media files, in our case, is go to Files and Folders. So you get videos, you can get photos, you can get audio files. And let's just let's grab something from green screen, just as a test. And it will sometimes take some time to add that media. But now that we can tell, we've got it because it's part of our project assets. Now assets are things that are of value that belong to you. That includes these clips. So when you're ready to move them into your video, you click and drag them down onto the timeline. I would suggest that you don't apply any video merge to your project. Now you can browse through the layers that are available to you. You'll notice that there are video and audio 3, video and audio 2, video and audio 1, narration and soundtrack. This bar, those layers can be seen in more greater detail if you raise this, even though your preview pane will get a little smaller. The project assets can be minimized or maximized depending on what you want to be looking for. And let's get a little bit more a few more items to throw into this. Okay, I've got those other clips. I can select multiple clips by holding down Control, or if you've got a bunch, you can click on the first one and shift click on the last one. So these can be dragged down onto our timeline wherever we want them to be. If we want them to overlap that video 1, audio 1 layer, we can do that. Most likely you're gonna divide those over, usually people just put them on the same layer all along the video 1 layer. If you do want things to overlap though, those other 2 layers are available for you, or even if you want them to transition in some way. Now you'll notice that when I position these in, this orange bar appeared where there wasn't one before. That means it hasn't been rendered yet. And the place that you render is right here. Rendering essentially tells each of those frames how to appear when you're seeing the playback. So it's a way of essentially previewing things. It's nice to do when you're doing transitions, just so that you know what you're doing, or effects, for instance. So you can make adjustments before you finalize the movie. Things will get slow and choppy if you don't render, so it's nice from time to time to, if you're going to take a break or get a drink of water, just render while you're out. So you'll notice it's green now. Now, if you get quick pointers, one is about zoom. Right now, these are tiny clips on my timeline, and it helps sometimes to get a little closer to them. That zoom bar is over here, and if you click and drag, you'll see those clips will become larger, not in size or in time, but just in the way you can see them. You can click on these as well. Those are kind of larger changes, and you can get a little bit more specific by doing this and fitting it to the view. Another quick thing is that this little bar here, let's call it a diamond shape or a gem shape, is the length of your film. So if you exported a film and this was over here, you'd have X number of seconds of black. If you're down with that, then make this adjustable. Otherwise, you can just snap it to the last clip. Now about the playhead. This playhead will relocate depending on where in the film you want it to go. I find it nice to kind of just scrub along the timeline once in a while to see where I am, how fast the pace is going. But it will let you see where it's standing, even though my 1122 file is the one that's modified by any action right now. So if I press delete on the keyboard, even though I have this one showing, the other one gets adjusted. So make sure if you're moving your playhead and you want to adjust this, please also click it so that it is highlighted. Same thing with adding effects. If I'm over here and I'm dragging effects onto this clip, then you're going to be like, well, where are my effects? Well, they're on this clip over here. You just can't see it because your playhead's not there, okay? So that's the issue with that.